Welcome to the Dodgers Blue News channel. Before the news, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Now, let's get to the Dodgers news.
Hey, Dodgers fans! Today we've got hot news straight from the general manager's meetings. Get ready because we have three major moves looming on the blue horizon. First on our radar is Raisel Iglesias, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Dodgers are in the conversation. Francis Romero from baseball.lfr.com confirmed that the Los Angeles team is among several clubs showing early interest in the veteran reliever who is now a free agent. The talks about relievers are so intense at these meetings that we could see something happen very soon. Let's talk about who this guy is. Iglesias will turn 36 in January and spent the last 3.5 seasons closing games in Atlanta. His story is interesting, folks. He originally signed a 4-year, $58 million contract with the Angels, but was traded to the Braves just a few months later when the Angels had that terrible start to the 2022 season. Now, 2025 started like a roller coaster for Iglesias. In the first months, ladies and gentlemen, things weren't pretty. He was still striking hitters out and controlling the walks, but he was giving up home runs like there was no tomorrow. 7 home runs in his first 24 innings, a scary 6.75 ERA. Many were already declaring the end, but hold on. June arrived and everything changed. What happened in his last 43 1/3 innings was simply spectacular. A dominant 1.25 ERA, striking out more than 30% of hitters, walking only 6.3%. And those home runs that were wrecking his numbers? Just one after June 9th. A single home run, folks. In the end, Iglesias finished 2025 with a solid 3.21 ERA, numbers that line up perfectly with his career averages. His whiff rate might be a bit lower than previous years, but it's still several percentage points above league average, tied for 26th among 147 qualified relievers. Now let's talk about why this matters so much for the Dodgers. The lack of bullpen depth almost cost everything in the World Series. The team made it through the early rounds thanks to dominant performances from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, and Tyler Glasnow. Those guys masked a bullpen devastated by injuries to Evan Phillips, Buster Gratterall, Brock Stewart, and the disappointing first year of Tanner Scott in Los Angeles. Roki Sasaki became vital to closing games, and Alex Vesia delivered big performances until a family emergency took him out of the World Series. In the end, with everything on the line, it was Yamamoto who got the final out, just one day after throwing 96 pitches in Game 6. That's not sustainable, folks. That's why it's no surprise to see the Dodgers pursuing high-level relievers early in the offseason. Beyond Iglesias, the team has already been linked to Devin Williams. The difference is that Iglesias' contract length will likely be limited by his age, something that doesn't apply to Williams, making Iglesias a more likely candidate to sign quickly. Signing Iglesias wouldn't stop the Dodgers, who have abundant resources, from making other significant investments in the bullpen. It would be a fast and efficient first step to strengthen a relief corps that proved too fragile during the playoffs. The front office learned its lesson in the World Series, and now it's time to act. Iglesias' arrival would bring proven experience in high-pressure situations, something you can't teach in practice. We're talking about a veteran who understands the weight of closing decisive games and who has already been through postseason fire with Atlanta. He would bring that mental stability that makes a difference when every pitch can decide a series. Besides that, it would allow the team to better manage the workload of other relievers during the regular season, keeping arms fresh for October. With Iglesias in the group, the manager would have more strategic options in the late innings, able to distribute responsibilities and avoid the excessive where we saw in the playoffs. It's a piece that solves immediate problems and creates tactical possibilities for the entire season. For Iglesias, wearing the Dodgers uniform would mean returning to play under the national spotlight, something he didn't have as much in Atlanta in recent years. It would be the chance to close games in one of baseball's most vibrant markets, with Dodger Stadium packed every night and the constant pressure of meeting the expectations of a fan base used to winning. He would also be surrounded by a roster full of stars, which takes some of the individual weight off his shoulders. When you have Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman in the lineup, the spotlight is shared, but the demand for results remains extremely high. For a veteran in the final stretch of his career, It would be the opportunity to add a championship ring to his resume and cement his legacy playing for one of the most iconic franchises in the sport. Now let's change the subject and talk about a name that will certainly stir the hearts of the fans. Cody Bellinger is back on the Dodgers' radar. Bellinger is now a free agent after a solid season with the New York Yankees, and an MLB source recently linked him to his former team. For those who have been following for a long time, this name brings powerful memories. The Dodgers selected Bellinger in the 2013 draft and developed him through the minor leagues until he earned a spot on the main roster as an extremely promising prospect. The impact was immediate, folks. Bellinger showed superstar potential from the start, displaying powerful hitting and defensive range that could make him one of the best players in the league. There were flaws, of course, especially that upright batting stance that made him vulnerable to strikeouts, but in 2019 he won the MVP award and accumulated 17.2 WAR in his first 3 seasons. Impressive numbers. Then came the fall. Pitchers figured out his mechanics and started attacking him with breaking pitches, which he simply couldn't hit consistently. Bellinger ended up leaving Los Angeles and signed a 1-year contract with the Chicago Cubs, looking to rebuild his reputation. And look, he did exactly that. He won the Silver Slugger Award in 2023 and finished 10th in MVP voting, which earned him a 3-year contract with the Cubs. After the 2024 season, Chicago traded him to the Yankees, where he had another impressive campaign. So impressive that he decided to opt out of the final year of his contract and become a free agent. And here we are. Jon Heyman, MLB insider, believes that a reunion between the Dodgers and Bellinger could be in the plans, as Los Angeles is in desperate need of reinforcements for the outfield. Heyman got straight to the point. Bellinger basically erased those 2 below-average offensive years, especially after showing in the Bronx that he's back to being an excellent player on both sides of the ball. The Yankees want to keep him, but the Mets, the Phillies, and the Dodgers are also viable options. Bellinger made it clear that he wants to play for a winning team, although it's hard to know exactly what that eliminates from the map. Heyman predicts he will land a 6-year, $180 million contract as a free agent. That's $30 million per season, ladies and gentlemen, substantially less than Kyle Tucker will likely get, which could reach a 10-year deal worth around $400 million. Last season, Bellinger posted a .272/334/480 line, with 29 home runs and 98 RBIs. If he can repeat that performance and continue playing excellent defense, Dodgers fans would be more than happy to welcome him back. He could become a crucial factor in the pursuit of more World Series titles. Bellinger would return to fill that outfield hole that was evident throughout the season. He would bring defensive versatility, able to play both center field and first base depending on the game's needs, giving manager Dave Roberts that tactical flexibility he values so much. In the lineup, Bellinger would fit perfectly as a protection bat, someone who can hit in the 5th or 6th spot and force opposing pitchers to face an unforgiving batting order from start to finish. There would be no breaks for anyone. Moreover, his presence would allow other players to be placed in spots more suitable to their abilities, better balancing the defensive distribution across the field. He would be that versatile piece that solves multiple problems with a single signing. For the Dodgers, bringing Bellinger back would be like recovering a piece of the team's identity that was lost a few years ago. It would reconnect with that period of dominance when he was the young face of the franchise, the MVP who represented the bright future of baseball in Los Angeles. There's also the emotional factor that cannot be ignored. Fans have deep memories with Bellinger, from that meteoric debut to the 2020 championship run. Seeing him wearing blue again would create a redemption narrative not only for him, but for the organization itself, which let him go when things got tough. From a practical standpoint, it would be a statement to the rest of the league that the Dodgers not only keep their stars, but also have the ability to bring them back when they prove their value again. It would show that the door is always open for those who bleed blue and that the organization recognizes when it made a mistake letting talent slip away. It would be closing a cycle that was left unfinished. Now let's talk about the third and final name that's circulating. Steven Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians. The Dodgers trade period last season was relatively quiet, although there were rumors linking the team to big names in late July. The Dodgers were looking for an outfielder and a relief pitcher at the trade deadline, ultimately opting for Alex Call as an outfielder and Brock Stewart as a reliever. But another name that generated a lot of conversation at the time was precisely Steven Kwan. Let's talk about who this player is, folks. Kwan is an elite defender in the outfield, having won the Gold Glove in all 4 of his MLB seasons. All 4. He also made the All-Star game in each of the last 2 seasons and has solid performance at the plate. At 28 years old, he has a strikeout rate of just 8.7%, which places him in the top 1% of MLB. He simply does not miss the zone often, ranking in the 100th percentile of the league. Last season, Kwan posted a .272 batting average, with 11 home runs and a career-high 56 RBIs. But here's the difference maker that really stands out. He represents a major threat on the bases, something the Dodgers lack, and he stole 21 bases in 2025. Speed and intelligence on the bases. Bob Nightingale brought interesting information about this situation. The Guardians nearly traded Kwan to the Dodgers at the trade deadline, and Los Angeles will pursue him again during the offseason. The price will be high, that's for sure, but the Dodgers certainly have the young prospect capital to make a deal happen. The Dodgers have one of the best player development systems in baseball, with 6 current prospects ranked among MLB Pipeline's top 100. An all-star like Kwan would certainly require one of the Dodgers' top prospects, but the current outfield situation justifies this type of investment. Michael Conforto filled the left field gap by signing a 1-year contract with Los Angeles through 2025. However, his performance for most of the season was disappointing. He finished the year with a batting average of just .199 and a .638 OPS, despite having never dipped below .700 in his career before this season. Concerning numbers. The Dodgers have many concerns during the offseason, even after winning the World Series, and adding an elite player like Kwan to the roster would be one less worry for next season. It would solve a defensive and offensive problem at the same time. Looking at these 3 moves together, ladies and gentlemen, it's clear that the Dodgers are building on victory, not just celebrating it. The front office understood that the World Series title came with warning signs flashing red, especially in the bullpen and the outfield. Iglesias represents the immediate and practical solution. He's the experienced veteran who comes in to stabilize the late innings and take pressure off arms that were pushed beyond their limits in the playoffs. Bellinger would be the triumphant return, that rare combination of nostalgia with real production, bringing defensive versatility and power at the plate. And Kwan would be the boldest move, costing valuable prospects but delivering elite defense and that base-running speed that simply doesn't exist on the current roster. What connects these 3 names is urgency. The Dodgers are not operating like a team that just won it all and can afford to wait. They're acting like an organization that knows the competitive window with Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman in their prime needs to be maximized now. Every wasted season is a missed opportunity. If these moves materialize, we'll be looking at an even more complete roster than the one that won in 2025. A reinforced bullpen, an outfield with no weak spots, and the depth needed to absorb the inevitable injuries that appear over a long season. The Dodgers are not just trying to repeat the title. They are building a dynasty, and these 3 names are the foundation for the next years of dominance. The offseason has barely begun and Los Angeles is already setting the pace of the market. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think? Of the 3 moves we discussed today, which one do you believe would be the most crucial for the Dodgers' chances of repeating the title in 2026? Iglesias' experience closing decisive games, Bellinger's nostalgic and versatile return, or the elite defense and speed that Kwan would bring to the outfield? Leave your opinions in the comments. See you next time, Dodgers Nation.